Harris and Bader seemed to be the main issue for them. They concentrated mostly on the defense, moving Jose Martinez off of first base, moving Carpenter over there more often. Some of the playing Colton Wong a little bit more. His defense was good. They were costing themselves in a lot of games on the defensive side. And so when you have the pitching, which they did, and went more defensive minded, they took off. And so that plus a little bit of change in the atmosphere in the clubhouse. I think all those things combined, you see their August 22 wins. That was, I think, the best in baseball, and that is what catapults them to this point right now in the season.
The salsa too, right? Isn't that
I
magic?
tell you what,
salsa?
the salsa.
Was it Adam Wainwright salsa?
There's some magic in that salsa, right? I mean, that's incredible. Matt Adams, I talked to Matt the other day that Carpenter wouldn't give him any when Adams was playing for the Nats. As soon as he came over, he gave him some.
Yeah,
so there's some kind of
something in the sauce, as we say. Sometimes the Cards lead the majors, 296 runs scored since the All-Star break, third in home runs with 79. Sometimes we know playoff time, those bats can go cold. Does this team have a deep enough starting rotation, a deep enough pen to do some damage in the playoffs if we get that far?
I like their rotation. It's not the one that maybe stands out the most. When you're looking at some certainty there, you have to me, their rotation is the depth of it will depend on how good Adam Wainwright is. Like the Wainwright that we saw Sunday night on ESPN against the Dodgers, that is more than good enough to run the table if he's your number 3 starter, followed with Michaelis and Flaherty the first couple. And Flaherty, to his credit, he's a young kid that you don't know how they're going to pitch in September. He's continued to pitch at a high level, so you have to feel good about that. Michaelis, even though he's had the run support, but he looks like he still has plenty left in the tank, and Waino should have plenty of tank. He's missed so much time, but the way he threw the fastball curveball combination, I was really impressed with, because I was doubting the organization's decision to keep him in the rotation. I thought he'd be better out of the pen, but the way he pitched the other night, that's going to be good enough.
Austin Gomer getting the start tonight, the left-hander, 5-1 so far this season. Coming off the worst start of his career, though, gave a career high 7 runs over 3 innings on Thursday. That was a 9-7 loss in that one. Do you think he bounces back in this one?
I think that's going to be the key. He's pitched well on the road. He's got a 3.5 ERA on the road. And last time against the Braves, they only saw him in little spurts. He pitched out of the bullpen. And, that gives you sometimes an advantage, in that sense. I thought, that this Dodgers lineup is a hard one to kind of navigate through. Not that the Braves is all that easy either. But I think when you go through the struggles here late, we're going to find out tonight. I think his stuff is good enough. He's just, a little bit different that he can give some of the hitters, some of the Braves hitters, a little bit of trouble. He's going to have to throw some off-speed stuff for strikes. They love to attack. The Braves love to attack the fastball. So, we'll see what kind of breaking ball command he has, especially early in the game.
What does his starting rotation look like from your perspective come playoff time? Who are the 1, 2, 3 starters?
So I think Gomber and Gann are going to be guys for me because of their youth and their really inconsistency. You don't really know what you're going to get there. I think they're guys that may end up in the pen, or they may not even make we'll see what happens with the playoff roster. But Michaelis, the one gamer, that to me is an interesting decision. I think you have to go with the guy who's been consistently good for you all year, but Flaherty has been real good. If Wainwright gives you 2 or 3 more starts, I still don't think that they would go to him in a one gamer. But overall, Flaherty, I love the stuff that I've seen out of him, and he's still pitching well. So they'll have an interesting decision. It might be that they have to go right down to the end of the season to get in the wild card, and so whoever's next turn up, may have to go to the wild card. They may not have the ability to manipulate their roster like some teams do when you have that one game playing.
Marcell Ozuna has certainly been stepping up, carrying the Cards of late, batting .385, 9 extra base hits, 14 RBIs in his last 13. We talked about the struggles that Matt Carpenter's going through. What have you seen from Ozuna in that time frame?
Ozuna is the guy that you needed to carry. Early in the season he was struggling, and sometimes you see that with guys that get traded. But this month in particular, we've seen the home runs, we've seen the power come. He still has a little issue, I think, with that arm. He's out in the outfield. He has some trouble. It doesn't seem to affect his bat. And I think that's the thing. Like, he has a presence in the middle of the lineup that, they have been lacking over the years. And so the good news is he's showing the power. If Carpenter could build off of what he did last night, Martinez, I've always loved his bat, even though he's tailed off a little bit. I think that part of it kind of looks good. They got to get Bader back on track. He's kind of had a little bit of rough September, but I like the fact they had that 3-run homer last night. Maybe that's something that can jumpstart him too.
What are your thoughts on some of the other guys in this lineup? We talked Carpenter, we talked Ozuna. How about the meat of this order? What do you make of the Cardinals?
It's maybe not as deep in terms of the known names or quantities that you might see with other rosters, but I do think that there's enough power here and enough combinations to especially if they're swinging the bat well, that they can score some runs and have a what I would say a credible offensive team in the postseason. It's not as conventional. I think they feel like at times they're missing a more key offensive bat. I think if Yachty is swinging the bat well, like he hit the home run last night, his 18th. When Matheny had him in the 5th spot there earlier in the season, it seemed like that offense seemed to flow a little bit. Carpenter, if he gets himself back on track, I think you'll see a little bit more offense than what we've seen as of late. So that, to me, those are the keys, I think, down the stretch. Let's watch how Carpenter swings the bat. Let's see if Bader can get himself back on track. And if those two guys can, then I think they're going to be all right.
All right, fan questions coming in. We've got this one from Chris C. Who would be the best matchup for the Cardinals in the wild card game? What do you think?
Boy, that's a tough call. It's never easy. I don't care for the Milwaukee matchup. They see each other so much. I'd rather, if there was at all possible, to try to figure out like a team like the Rockies, who are really inconsistent. That would be, if you could pick one.
Yeah,
they're the team that
doesn't work out that way usually.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. Right, and I think it's going to be Milwaukee, and it's likely the way it would stand now, they would have that road game in Milwaukee, and those are always interesting, because when you play 19 times, everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and being able to pitch to that. I don't fear the Brewers' starting rotation all that much. I think if you were to match up starters, that the Cardinals would have to really not. I don't like the pen with the Brewers nasty. If you're going to get into a short game of 3 or 4 innings, I think you're going to have a hard time with Milwaukee. But I think they're evenly matched. I like the rotation better with the Cardinals. I like the bullpen better with Milwaukee. I think that's where it'll come down to.
The Cardinals have certainly had some success down in the Peach States. They've won their last 7 games in Atlanta since the start of 2016. Can you put your finger on why St. Louis just is having so much success down there?
Yeah, it's hard. Those are hard to explain. Being a front office executive with the Mets, we always had, it was a house of horrors going down to Atlanta. We could not win at Turner Field, and you have sometimes where you look at these matchups and you never would expect. I think part of it has been outside of this year that Atlanta was struggling. Cardinals were still a team that you had to worry about. A team over 500 now, 11 straight years. So I think there's something to that. This year is the interesting thing for me, that they've had their way with Atlanta there too. So I think primarily those numbers have been when the Braves were kind of on their rebuild. That's how I would try to explain it, at least here in SunTrust.
Give me an X factor for this Cardinals team down this stretch, whether it be a specific player or maybe a bigger picture type position, area of concern. What's an X factor for you for the Cards?
Yeah, those X factors are always fun to try to sort through. I think the way that Carpenter is kind of what we were talking about with Matt Carpenter, for him to get himself on track offensively, he really was carrying the Cardinals through a big stretch of this summer and kept them competitive. To get him back on track would be a huge factor in the postseason for them, to be able to rely on that offense. So on the offensive side, I'll go in that spot. I'll tell you the X factor for me on the bullpen side might be Carlos Martinez. The way he's pitched so far at the back end, I thought Mike Schilt did a really good job of handling that when Bud Norris was struggling a couple weeks ago. Grabbing Martinez, knowing he has the stuff, knowing he has the makeup to handle it. So, what, I'm going to put you in high leverage situations. He did it again last night when Norris wasn't available, or Hicks, and they end up getting out of a tight situation. So I think when you're matching up bullpens, when you're talking about Milwaukee's pen and the Cardinals' pen, on paper doesn't look the same. But with Martinez, I think he's an X factor.
In sports, we often say that you play well when you're having fun, and you're having fun when you're playing well.
Right.
Winning cures all. When you're in such a tight playoff race like it is in the NL wildcard right now, as a manager or as a GM, what are you guys doing to try to keep it loose for the players? Are you doing anything? Are you just letting them do their thing? How tough of a job is it to keep things loose, keep these guys having fun playing well.
Yeah, when you're playing well, you just stay out of the way. You know, that's the one thing that you just don't disrupt much. And I think that's the thing, that's the trick that Mike Schoen's figured out is, hey, I'm going to not be disruptive. I'm going to look at some guys, give them a day off or two here or there, but I'm going to keep things as close to consistent as I can, be consistent as a personality, handle the bullpen the way I have, give guys the necessary rest. That's why you didn't see Hicks last night. Norris had the blister. And so you go with different matchups that way and show confidence in them. I think those are the things. It's working. So why change things up?
Winning is certainly fun. We saw that last night. 11-6 win, 4 home runs, as we mentioned. What are you looking for? What are you keying in on this specific one tonight?
Well, I think with the Cardinals, you just keep winning, right? If they can do that, then they have the rest of this series 2, and then 3 Milwaukee, 3 Chicago. And it's really their fate's in their own hands. That's what you want. Same, Braves are in the driver's seat, so it's not as meaningful for them. Cardinals, every game is meaningful down the stretch. And hey, we've seen teams come out of the wild card and run a deep postseason run.
All right, so the Cards trying to keep the wins going. They come in having won 2 in a row. The Braves, meanwhile, trying to snap the losing streak. It's at 3 straight right now. Take a look at Matt Carpenter taking some of his final cuts. The next time we see him will be first pitch coming up 7:35 Eastern Time from SunTrust Park. Thanks for watching, everybody.